the evening session of the City Council meeting. We continue holding meetings while the governor's executive order continues to be in effect due to COVID-19. I'd like to remind our citizens they can submit questions for items on today's agenda. Public comments may also be submitted at this time. They will be read at the appropriate time during this meeting. Comments will be accepted up to the conclusion of the vote of each item. Comments may be submitted through the City of El Cajon's website, www.cityofelcajon.us. Under agendas and minutes, just go to the video streaming and you'll see a button to submit your comments. The meeting is now called to order, and I'd like to ask the city clerk to call the roll.
Thank you, sir. Mayor and council, if you can please state that you are present when I call on you. Mayor Wells.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Kendrick.
Here.
Council Member Goebel.
Here.
Council Member Metchel.
Here.
And Council Member Ortiz.
Here.
Thank you.
Would you all join me for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a brief moment of silence? Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic
for which it stands,
one nation, under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thanks. Agenda changes. Staff, do you have any agenda changes?
Mr. Mayor, no changes to the agenda.
Council members? All right, that brings us to public comment. At this time, any person may address a matter within the jurisdiction of the City Council, Housing Authority, successor agency to the El Cajon Redevelopment Agency that is not on the agenda. Comments relating to items on today's agenda are to be taken at the time the item is heard. State law prohibits discussion or action on items not on the agenda. However, council, authority, and agency members may briefly respond to statements or questions, and an item may be placed on a future agenda. Angela, did we receive any comments?
We did not, sir.
So that brings us to public hearings. Item 100 is for the fiscal year 2021 through 2022, CDBG and home allocations. Staff, will you tell us about this, please?
Yes, Mr. Mayor and Council, if you just allow me to intro the item here, and Jamie Van Ravestein will get her PowerPoint ready to go. This is the first of two public hearings that HUD requires the city to take on the allocations that we receive in the form of grants from HUD. And this is the hearing where the council decides on the proposed allocations to the applicants that have made requests to use this money to provide services to the city. So with that, I'd like to ask Jamie, the city's housing manager, to make her presentation to the city council.
Good evening, and thank you, Mayor and council members. I'll share my screen now. Oops, I'm going to do the PowerPoint. Okay, can you all see that?
Yes.
Great, to the slideshow. Okay, here we go. All right, as Tony mentioned, the purpose of this public hearing is to seek public input and the City Council's decisions on the projects and programs the city will undertake during fiscal year 2021-22 to address the goals and priorities in the 5-year consolidated plan. This hearing is for the regular CDBG and home allocations that are received annually by the city and does not include any of the CDBG CV or CV3 funding that is specific for to respond to the COVID pandemic.
We're not seeing it. Could you pause?
You're not seeing it?
That's the Mayor, you can see it.
Mayor Wells, can you see the PowerPoint?
I can.
But does it not look normal?
Okay, you said you can't see that?
You can see it? Okay. Tony stopped by and let me know that you may not be able to see it.
Well, I see the title page.
Right. And do you see the one-year action plan page?
Yeah, now I do, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Tony's good. Thank you for your help. Okay, so the 5-year consolidated plan is the city's plan for addressing the needs of El Cajon's low-income community over a 5-year period and using CDBG and home funds. And as you know, a 1-year action plan is required for each year of that 5-year plan. The action plan identifies the projects and activities the city will undertake during that year to address those goals and priorities. The fiscal year 21-22 will be the 3rd year of the current 5-year plan, and projects selected tonight will form the core of the annual action plan. So a notice of funding availability for CDBG funding was published, and the application period for CDBG projects and programs was available between November 12th all the way to December 17th. Following that, 12 eligible applications were received. So the actual allocations of CDBG and home funding for the upcoming year have not yet been announced by HUD. Here you see the historical levels of the CDBG funding over the past few years, along with the estimated funding allocations for fiscal year 21-22. We are estimating for 21-22 CDBG funding will be approximately $1.3 million, and home funding will be approximately $630,000. The actual funding amounts could be higher or lower, and City Council will be asked to consider which projects receive additional or reduced funding, if that's the case. There are maximum percentages that must be considered when allocating CDBG funding. For planning and admin, the city can allocate no more than 20% of the total annual allocation. For public services, the maximum is 15%, and there is no limit to the percentage of funds that may be allocated for public facility, capital, all the other types of projects. With total CDBG funding of $1.3 million and the other maximums reached, the amount available for those public facility projects is expected to be approximately $845,000. Staff's recommendations for CDBG funding allocations are listed here and also in attachment 2 of your agenda report. For planning and admin category, staff is recommending funding for the administration of the CDBG and home programs is used. This funding is used for that as well, in the amount of $235,000. We are also recommending $25,000 in CDBG funds for fair housing services through CSA San Diego County. You'll see later we'll also be recommending another $5,000 from home funding to this activity for a total contract amount of $30,000 with CSA. Under the Public Facilities Capital Other category, staff received 3 applications and recommends funding to all 3 of those. The Neighborhood Street Lights project was funded this current year, is currently underway, and we're looking for continuation of that project in the amount of $280,000. A new project, Broadway Creek Restoration, has submitted an application and is eligible, and we're recommending funding for that project in the amount of $525,000. And finally, pool security safety fencing project proposed by East County Transitional Living Center in the amount of $40,000. The CDBG administration and the neighborhood street lights projects are recommended for any increases or decreases in funding when the actual final allocations are known. Under the public services category, funding allocations cannot exceed 15% of the total grant amount. Staff recommends funding for the crime-free multi-housing program in the amount of $49,107, the emergency shelter program provided by East County Transitional in the amount of $100,000, the senior care coordination program provided by Elder Help in the amount of $10,893, the rotational shelter program through Interfaith at $10,000, and the Meals on Wheels El Cajon program in the amount of $25,000. That gives us total public services allocation of $195,000 and allocates all the dollars of the $1.3 million for CDBG. There are also maximums and minimum percentages that must be considered when allocating the home funding. For planning and admin, we can award no more than 10% of the total allocation, in this case totaling $63,000. A minimum of 15% must be reserved for community housing development organizations and projects. So for this year, that's $94,500, and we are just required to hold that in reserve. The remainder is available for authorized housing projects and programs, and with the total estimated funding at $630,000, the amount available for housing activities is expected to be approximately $572,500. Staff recommendations for the home funding are listed here and in attachment 3 of your staff report. We're recommending a total of $58,000 for city administration of the home program. We will need all of that money plus some of the CDBG admin to administer that program. $5,000 to CSA San Diego County for the fair housing services. As I described above, we'll be putting that together with the $25,000 CDBG allocation for a total contract amount of $30,000. The required minimum set aside for CHOTA reserve is $94,500, and the remainder of $472,500 is recommended for the housing program pool of funds for ongoing housing programs, such as the first-time home buyer program. The home administration, CHOTA reserve, and housing pool of funds will require adjustments higher or lower when the actual final allocations are known. Following the City Council approval of the allocations tonight, the next steps will be to prepare the action plan document and publish a summary, conduct a second public hearing for final approval of these allocations and adoption of the one-year action plan. The hearing is tentatively scheduled for April 27th at 3 p.m. Following that, the action plan is submitted to HUD. HUD review and approval is required. Once approved, funds become available and the projects and programs will begin implementation on or about July 1st of 2021. Tonight, council action is requested to open the public hearing and accept public testimony and approve the allocations of CDBG and home funds to projects and activities as part of the fiscal year 21-22 one-year action plan. With that, staff is available to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions right now for staff? All right, let's start with opening the public hearing. And Angela, do we have cards?
Yes, sir. We received 4 comments. First one reads, "Good evening, Honorable Mayor Wells and council members. My name is Estela de los Rios, and I am the Executive Director of CSA San Diego County. I would like to thank you for your ongoing support and the opportunity to be your fair housing provider. This past year has had its challenges due to the pandemic and clients being in the rears with their rents. Thank you for the rental assistance program that you implemented. Along with the pandemic, there was a rise in tenant-landlord issues ranging from landlords attempting to raise rents, vacate, and evict their tenants. In addition, we had several fair housing issues addressing disabilities, and we provided several El Cajon residents a reasonable accommodation packet to assist them. We presently are a HUD-approved housing counseling agency, providing tenant landlords rights, fair housing testing enforcement, education, and outreach. These services have provided many El Cajon clients opportunities to stay in their homes, identify any discrimination complaints, and mediate tenant-landlord conflicts. In addition, we have educational workshops for low-income communities provided by our HUD First-Time Home Buyers program. These array of services have had a positive impact in our El Cajon community. I would like to request your ongoing support and continued partnership. It is a pleasure working with the city of El Cajon, and thank you, Estela de los Rios." The next comment is from Deborah Martin, and it reads, "We are grateful for the council support and realize funds are limited. I wanted to make sure it was clear, since it's not noted in the agenda, that Elder Help's request for $15,000 in funds is not only for case management and transportation. We are also serving 46 seniors monthly using our food programs, which cost approximately $20 to $30 per delivery for 2 weeks of food per senior, not including labor, plus another 50 non-pantry clients receiving ongoing case management and access to support and services. The food program alone for El Cajon clients costs approximately $13,000 without labor and without including costs for the other 50 non-pantry clients. If any consideration can be given for our full request, we would be most appreciative. Otherwise, we will most likely be reducing the food services over the next 6 months. Sincerely, appreciation, Deborah Martin, CEO of Elder Help of San Diego. The next comment is reads, thank you, Mayor Wells, City Council, and staff. My name is Harold Brown, the CEO for East County Transitional Living Center. We have partnered over the years to help thousands of homeless families off the street and into permanent housing or long-term programs. I want to thank you for considering our request of $100,000 to continue to help families and individuals in our emergency shelter program. We do expect an uptick in families needing this very successful program due to the pandemic in the coming year. We are going to be able to increase the number of emergency shelter participants in 2021 as we will be building 2 dormitories this year. Thank you again for your consideration. And the last comment submitted reads, thank you so much for I'm reading it verbatim. Thank you so much for past all support of our programs and clients. This year, it is needed more than ever since our clients are the first to be laid off or furloughed. Lowest priority for job restoration and rehiring when the pandemic ends. Our clients already have many barriers and deserve a chance. We are looking to this council to make a difference in many of our clients and their families' lives. Our clients give back to the community in many ways, including donating their time to Meals on Wheels and Salvation Army. We're not asking for a handout, we're asking for the opportunity to have a job. Please reconsider funding our project proposal or even partial funding, which you have in your power to do. Give us your support during these unusual times. We thank you in advance to the City of El Cajon for all your support and consideration on this proposal. Warm regards, Deborah Emerson, CEO of St. Madeleine Sophie Center. And that concludes the comments, sir.
Thanks very much. I'd like to make a motion then to close the public hearing.
Second.
Mayor Wells, your vote, please.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Kendrick,
Yes.
Councilmember Goebel,
Yes.
Councilmember Mitchell,
Yes.
and Councilmember Ortiz.
Yes.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
All right, council members, this is one of the more interesting times of the year. We always have more people that need money than we have money to give. I think the staff has made some good recommendations. I'm opening it up to discussion.
I'm happy with everything. I think the staff has almost read my mind.
I agree with you.
I agree. I have a question. Someday, are sidewalks in CDBG census areas, are those eligible for CDBG funds where there are no sidewalks?
If they're in qualified CDBG census tracts, yes. If they are not, if they are just generally out in the city, we do have a concrete program that addresses ADA, curb ramps and sidewalks associated with that. So yes, in CDBG eligible census tracts, we should be able to qualify it.
I think someday in future years, we might want to think about that a little bit more to balance things out across the city.
It's a good idea. One of those, we have a goal setting meeting set up soon. We could make that one of the priorities.
That'd be great.
I have a question.
Yeah, Michelle.
Do we have specific areas targeted already for the streetlights?
Thank you. Yes, we have this year we currently funded, and I don't have, yes, I did get that information from our public works staff, exactly where those are.
And these are lights that are already in or are proposed?
They're new lights. They were previously in dark neighborhoods, and they are putting new lights, brightening the area. If I may, Mayor, may I answer that question?
Sure, please.
Thank you so much. So we're currently out to bid for streetlights for about 26 to 30 in the areas of Mollison, First, Shady, and Orlando, between Main Street and Madison. And that project is currently out to bid. And that we're going to be utilizing funds, $500,000 from last year's CDBG allocation. So for next year's CDBG allocation, we requested $300,000, and it's being recommended for $280,000 allocation for fiscal year 22. However, the locations have not been finalized, but they are in the CDBG area, in the disadvantaged areas. Thank you.
Do we get any money from SDG&E to supplement this streetlight program?
Yasmin, maybe you can. Not for this project, the one that we have out to bid.
How about for any project? Does SDG&E give us money for streetlights?
Not, we don't have, I can look into that further, but we don't have any money allocated from San Diego Gas and Electric for the streetlight installation project.
Steve, you might be thinking about the undergrounding program that SDG helps with.
No, I think SDG&E has a pool of funds for community improvements. I understand that the fund for the undergrounding, like we did at 100 Fletcher Parkway.
Yeah.
But I'm looking for all sources of external funds is what I'm asking.
That would be a great find. Graham, can we look into that?
We can ask them. I mean, I've been working with SDG&E for many years in communities that have tremendous need, and they have not contributed to that, but maybe there's an opportunity. So we will look into that.
You know, I think everybody got a whole lot of CARES funds, and who knows if CARES funds can, be used in this way. Maybe SDG&E got some, I don't know, but it doesn't hurt to. There's a lot of money floating out there from CARES Act stuff, and certainly we should exhaust all opportunities to see who's got some that could help us.
Phil.
Yasmin said something interesting. So with regard to the streetlight improvement program, prior year was $500,000. And I think you said that with that $500,000, we were able to get 26 streetlights installed. Is that the number that you said, or did I mishear that?
Correct. It's between 26 and 30, and typically the estimate is contingent upon infrastructure requirements. And that's probably why we see the difference in the amount of lights.
So, and that's the difference is whether you have to build a freestanding pole or if you attach it to an existing wooden electrical line or something like that, or
more bringing power into the communities,
okay.
Either underground or overhead.
Underground, okay. And then the second question is, if we have streets in our neighborhoods that don't have any street lights, as long as they're in a qualified track, this program can be used to install lights there. Is that right?
That is correct. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Michelle?
So a few years ago, I had a street light put in my cul-de-sac before I ran for city council, in my cul-de-sac and the cul-de-sac next to me. And I was told at that time that they were going to get assistance from SDG&E. Now I heard Yasmin say that they were going to do Mollison. And so is that this year we're going to put lights in on Mollison, or is that next year?
This year, ma'am, hopefully by this summer, yes.
It is so dark here on North Mollison that I'm sure a lot of people in my district will appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, good to know.
Okay. Well, Gary, did you want to make a motion?
I'll move adoption of the CDBG allocations worksheets
I'll second.
that.
Mayor Wells, your vote, please.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Kendrick,
Yes.
Councilmember Goble,
Yes.
Councilmember Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilmember Ortiz.
Yes.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
All right. Thanks, everybody. This brings us to the adjourned regular joint meeting of the El Cajon City Council, El Cajon Housing Authority.
Excuse me? I think we also need a motion for the home allocations, if you
right.
don't mind.
Thank you
Oh,
for reminding
then
me.
I'll make a motion for approval of the home allocations worksheet.
I'll second.
Mayor Wells, your vote.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Kendrick,
Yes.
Councilmember Goble,
Yes.
Councilmember Mitchell,
Yes.
and Councilmember Ortiz.
Yes.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
Thank
Right.
you.
Do we need any more motions? I think so. Okay. All right. Well, we are adjourned then. The next date we will see you all is on the 23rd day of February 2021. We are adjourned till Tuesday, March 9th, 2021 at 3:00 p.m. Thanks very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.